Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so as for the sake of those who were not around last time, we did talk about variable naming and scoping the other time. So you said basically variables are just like containers where we used to store whatever data that we using in our program. Andy, I hope you are recording.
Yes, sir, I'm recording.
Okay, that's fine. So, and we also learned that variable naming is very important. The name should be descriptive enough. It should match what we are naming. There are also some rules that governs naming of variable. For example, in all programming language, like most high-level programming languages, variable names should always start with an alphabet or an underscore. Then the rest can be any number of characters that you want. So a good example of a variable name could be name. One name won't match, then name one, it also qualifies as a valid variable name. So that is basically about variable and variable scoping. Then we also learned that where you declare the variable is also very important. So if you missed that class, the slide is available and the lesson is also on YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube page and take a look at that one. So today we are going to take a look at flow controls and operators. This is also one of the most important aspects of programming, and every programming language has these two. Okay, so I'm going to start with operators first. Now, what is an operator? Operator is a character or symbol that determines the action that is to be performed. So it could be a single character or two or more, mostly two, that determines what has to be done. For example, if you write a plus sign inside your program, it has different meaning you having a minus sign. So the examples that you have plus, minus, the star that you see over there in programming language is for multiplication. Then you have the forward slash, that is for division. So these are some of the examples of operators that we have. Now, for every programming language, we have a lot of types of operators, but the most common one are arithmetic operators, relational operators, and logical operators. So we are going to take them one by one and look at what each of them is. The first on our list is arithmetic operators. So uh, these ones are common. We mostly use them uh, in our everyday mathematics. So the first on our list is addition. So that's the plus sign. So in programming language, if you enter a plus, it means you are adding two or more variables together. The plus sign can take either one or more operand. So the if you look at the first example, a is equals to 1 plus 2. So at the end of the day, we learned about variable. The variable that I'm using is a. Someone may suggest that the best variable name should be Sam, which I think will be valid. uh, is equal to 1 plus 2. So at the end of the day, when you execute this command, the result is going to be 3. The next one is subtraction, the minus sign, the same thing. The special one that may be new to most of you is the star. So in programming, if you see star, is for multiplication. The next one, the forward slash, is division. So if you want to divide, you just bring the first number, then the next one divided. But you should be very careful when you're doing division. You can't divide by 0. If you do that, you are going to get a lot of problem or exception in your code. So you should always try as much as possible that whatever you're dividing is greater than 0. The next operator is the percentage sign. Now in programming language, you call that one modulo. So if you remember, I think in mathematics, if you want to know the number of times a particular number can go into the other without a remainder or whatever, I think we call that modulo. In programming language 2 is the same. So if you look at the last example where I did 5 modulo 2, that one, the answer is going to be 1. So what that means is 2 goes to 5 as many times, but the remainder is going to be what is going to remain that 2 can divide is 1. So in this case, when you use modulo, we are only interested in the remainder. Now you can use this particular operator to do a lot of things. One, you can use it to find the factors of numbers. So if I ask you to write a program where to find factors of a number, what you have to do is just do the number modulo, the particular number that you are trying to find factors of. So if the answer or the resulting from that condition is equal to 0, then that means that particular number is a factor of that number. Now let me do an example for you to see. Now if you're having a web browser like browser, Chrome, whatever, you can also follow along. I just want to do a quick demo so that we are all on the same page. Okay, so I'm going to...
Hello, welcome to Skype Core Testing Service. After the beep, please record a message. Afterwards, your message will be played back to you.
So I'm going to share another video to continue. I hope we are... So I'm going to...
If you are able to hear your own voice, then you have configured Skype correctly. If you hear this message, but not your own voice, then something is wrong with your audio recording settings. Please check your microphone and microphone settings or visit skype.com for more help. Thank you for using the Skype Core Testing Service. Goodbye.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I beg.
Uh-huh.
Hello. Hello.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I beg. He the bath. So if you need, I go talk. I'm not belly.
Okay, so I'm sharing my browser just for a quick please mute. Yes. So the first one is addition. If you do 2 plus whatever, you're going to get a result. So this is addition in JavaScript. This basic JavaScript, and it's the same for all programming languages. So if you do this if you do this in any programming language, you are going to add 2 numbers. The other one I was talking about was the modulo. So if you have 5 modulo 2, oops, that should be the percentage sign. As I said, it's going to give you the remainder of that particular operation. So 2 goes to 5 2 times remainder 1. So that's what is happening. So this is just basic operation, arithmetic operation in JavaScript. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is relational operators. So relational operators allows for assignment and enable comparison to be made. So this mostly is used in if statement. The first operator that you see, if you are a left-hand person, if you just try to form an angle with your hand, that is with your left hand, that is a less than operator. I don't know who came up with that particular name. I bet the person is a right-handed person. Andy will have a lot of problem with that person. So the first one is less than operator. Now, if you do this particular condition, A is less than 5, what it's going to do is it's going to check whatever is in A and compares it with 5. Then if A is less than 5, it's going to come out as true. So at the end of the day, you are going to get a true or false result. The next one is the greater than sign. The same way, it will compare the two and tell whether it's true or false. So in this case, let's say let's take for example B to be 2. In this case, 2 is greater than 1. So in this case, we are going to have a true, or that if statement resulting as true. The next one is less or equal to. So if you want to do a less or equal to in programming language, that's what you do. You bring the less down sign, then the equal sign. So what that means is it will check if that particular number is less or equal to the right hand variable. The same thing applies to the greater or equal to. The next one is the double equal to. So that in programming language, if you want to compare two things, most programming languages, you use two equal sign. That is equal to. So the first one, name is equal to AMA. If the name variable has a data that is AMA stored, you are going to get true. The next operator on our list is not equal to. So if you write exclamation then equal sign, that is not equal to in most programming languages. Then in some programming languages like PHP, you can do a greater than and equal sign facing each other, and that also compares or becomes not equal to operator. The last one on our list is the equal to, just one equal to sign symbol, that is for assignment. So if I do s is equal to 6, what it means is I'm putting 6 in that container or that variable 6. So anywhere I make reference to 6 x, I'll get 6. If you have any questions so far about this one, you can ask before I go to the next operator. Okay, so
Yes,
I'm moving on.
Amos,
Yes.
Amos,
Yes.
please, I was lost a little on the table because you were reading. If your cursor works, maybe when you are on that line, you can just pass your cursor there so that you can see the line you are on the table.
Okay, I think
Thank you.
that should be fine. Let me try and see if I can do that. Okay, so yeah, I think that will work. So just a quick recap. What I was saying is this is equal to, not equal to. If you have an exclamation sign and equal sign, that becomes not equal to. So if you want to check if something is not equal to a particular variable, that's what you use. The rest are straightforward. I'm going to the next type of operators, the logical operators. So logical operators are used to combine relational operators, what we just looked at, to give a more complex decision. So for example, if you want to compare two conditions, you use what we call an AND operator. Now, AND operator in programming languages, you use 2 ampersand to show AND. Now, what does AND mean? I'm going to ask this question after. Now, what AND does is it tests the two conditions that you are trying to test and make sure that both of them are true to make that check true. I don't know whether you understood what I said. So for the AND operator, what it does is it tests the first condition. You see, this is one relational operator. So it checks this one, this part first. Then later comes and check this one also. If this is true and this one is also true, then this particular condition is going to result as true. So both of them has to be true before the condition is met. The next one is the OR operator. That is 2 pipe. So on your keyboard, mostly it's above the enter key. So this one, the OR keyboard. Now the OR keyboard, the OR operator is a bit different from the AND operator. So now with the OR, one of them has to be true and the condition is satisfied. So for example, it checks the first one. If the name of the person that are checking is Amma, that's it. It won't even bother coming to check this one. One of them has to be true. Now, if you check this one and it's false, it will come and check the next condition. If you check the other one and it's true, then that particular block of code will execute. Now, if it checks and both of them are false, then automatically it returns as false. The next is the not operator. This one, just one exclamation sign. What it does is it inverts the condition. So if you have a true condition and you want to turn it to false, you just use the not operator to invent it. So if I have a variable that has a true set to it and I want to change it to false, I just bring not in front of it, and that will be it. Okay, so as I said, there are a lot of operators in programming language, but the common ones are the ones that we've talked about. These ones are also common. You have the unary operators. So these are special kind of operator that take only one operand. So all the operators that we've looked at, all of them, as you can see, takes two variables to compare. But when you talk about the unary operators, we only need one variable. So if you write a++, what that means is the same as doing a is equals to a plus 1. Now, I won't bother you with the details. This one does assign. So the a++ means assign before you increment. Then the ++a means increment before you assign. But I think we look at that in future lesson. So what you see, anytime you see plus, that means +1. So this a++ means a is equals to a plus 1. The same applies to this one also. Then the ternary operator, this is a kind of an easy way of doing if statement. I won't go much into this. I think in later we will go deep. Now let's go through flow controls or control flows. Now every program, before I move to this, anyone with question on what we've done so far, operators, you can ask before I move on. Please talk. Oh. If you don't talk, I'm taking it as if you understand, and when you are done, you have to code before you exit the group. You coding before you exit. So please, if you have any question, you can ask before I move on. Okay, so let's go to control flows. Now, control statements enable us to specify the order in which the instruction in our program must be executed. Now, when you write a computer program, the compiler, so a compiler is just a small software that converts whatever you've written, your source code, to a form which your computer or the system that is running the program understands. It runs your code from top to bottom. So let's say if you have one inside your code, you have A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3 on the next line. It's going to execute the first one before it comes to the next line. Now you can change that kind of behavior using control statement. So you can use, based on the control control statement that you're using, you can skip some code or execute some part of your code. Now, just as the other one, you have a lot of types of I think this should be control flows. We have a lot of types of statements, this control statement. We have decision making statement, the if statement and the switch, the loop statement for while, then the do, then the jump statement, so break and continue. We are going to look at example of each one of them. Now, so the decision making statements decide which statement to execute and when. So once your code is running, if the compiler encounter any of these particular statements, it tries to either go into the block of code or skip it. So decision making statement evaluates the Boolean expression and control the program flow depending on the results of the condition. So as we did earlier on, if your compiler gets to a part where you said if gender is equal to Amma, it's going to check if that bit of code is true. If it is true, it's going to enter that block of code to execute. I'll show you an example of what I mean, and I think that should be fine. So these are the first example of decision making statement is the if statement. And we have a lot of them. The popular ones are the simple if, the if else statement, the if else if statement, and the nested if. Now let's take a simple if. Now please pay attention to this statement. Most programming languages, that's how you write if statement. Whether Ruby, PHP, Java, JavaScript, most programming languages, that's how you write if statement. The only thing that changes is maybe the I is capital or the F is capital, but all of them follow this kind of syntax. So if the simple if statement, you have a keyword if, followed by a condition that has to be met, and the block of code that will be executed if the condition is true. So if you write if, this keyword over here, your compiler is going to think, okay, there has to be a condition for me to execute. Then you to test this particular condition over here from what you saw in the logical part or the relational part. So let's say A is equal to 2. It will check if it is true, then it will come into this particular block of code and execute it, or it will just skip that code. So this is a simple if statement. The next statement or decision making statement is if else statement. Now it's just like the simple if, but this one we have another leg, the else. So what that one means is, now if this condition is false, then this block of code will run. Please, does it make sense? So first of all, check the condition. If it's true, then this this part will run. If it's false, then this one will run. Okay, let's go to code and let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm sharing a simple JavaScript code. You don't need to, so I'll share this example so that you can try them. You don't need to install anything, you can just run it inside your browser. I'll show you how to do it after the lesson to try it yourself. The first one is the if statement that we just talked about. So it's just a simple if statement. It checks a condition, then if that condition is true, it runs that particular code. So for now, let's say we did exams, then the pass mark is 80, then you got 70. So now this condition over here to check if the mark so the pass mark is 70, then you got 80. So what it means is when it gets here to check the mark, is it greater than 70? If it's greater than 70, then it will run this code. It will show you congratulations, you've passed. If it is less than 70, it won't run this code, nothing will happen. So this is just a simple if. Now I'm going to demo it.
Hello, Amos.
Yes, Andy.
Please, it's very small. I can't. If you can increase the text for us to see it well. It's very small. Thank you.
Let me see.
I think the shortcut is Control Plus. I don't know if your
Control Plus.
Yes. Yes. I don't know your text editor.
Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Is it okay?
Yeah, I think this is okay.
Okay, so
Amos, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Play a code with a and a ++A.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so this is just to test the simple if. Later I'll do the A++, then the ++A that Amankwa is talking about. So now the pass mark is 70, then the person got 80. Now who can tell me the result of this code when I run? Please let's talk. Okay, so let me run it.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, please, it will give you congratulations, you passed.
Very good. I think that's perfect. So I'm going to run it. As you can see, it's telling us congratulations, you've passed. Now let's say the person had 60. Now, as you know, nothing will happen because the person failed. So this particular block of code won't run. So this is the simple if. The other if that I talked about was the if else statement. Now the if else statement will compare the first one. If it's false, then it will try to run the other block of code. Now our pass mark is 80 and the mark that we got was 75. So in this case, when it check 75, is 75 greater than 80? That's false. So in this case, it will run this block of code, the else part. Okay, so let me run that one. As you can see, you have to take the test again. This bit of code run. Now, what if the person got 90? In that case, we get congratulations, you pass. So this is just the if-else statement. Now let me do a quick demo of the ternary operator. So let's say if you have a variable, let's say sum is equal to now let me show whatever is in sum in order not to, let's clean whatever is there. Okay, so we have sum is equal to 1. Now I'm logging whatever is inside sum. If I run it, I'm going to get 1 because if we have 1 over here. Now if I do sum plus plus, what it means is this is assign before increment. So what is going to happen is it's going to show me what is inside the sum before it increases the value. So I'm going to have another console.log the sum. Now in this case, if I run the first one, as you can see, I did plus plus over here, but because it's assigned the value, the one that is already there, before it increases it, that's why I'm getting 1. But after this, when you get to this line of code, this bit have already executed. That's why I'm getting 2. So if you write sum plus plus, it's the same as writing sum is equal to sum plus 1. So whatever is inside the sum variable, increase it by 1. Now the next one is the assign the increment. So if I do console plus plus sum, what is going to happen is it's going to increase whatever is here by 1, then show me. So let me run it. You should get 2. So that's the only difference between plus plus 1, sum plus plus, and plus plus 1. They are all the same thing. This one is just the same thing. It's just the same as sum is equal to sum plus 1. But how you write it means a lot. So the first one is assign the variable before you increase it. The second one is increase it before you assign. Is that okay? So this is just, by the way, I was trying to demo if statement. I think from time as time goes on, you understand some of these things. If you don't understand, don't worry. As the others come, they'll go much deeper into this kind of things. So I think we've done if and if else statement. The next bit is what we call the if else if. So this is just like the if else, but with a lot of if else, if, like you try as much as possible to have a lot of them. So with that one, as you can see, you have the main if, check it. If it doesn't match, come and check this one also. If it doesn't match, come and check the other one too. So it will do it. Then at the end of the day, there's an else at the bottom. So if none of these condition matches, run this. So who can tell me what will be the result when I run this code? Yes. Let me go to the list so that I can mention people's name. Looks like my class, you're not talking.
The result is A.
Okay. This, what's your name?
Sarah Maris.
What?
Sarah Maris.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's true. That's perfect. The result is going to be A because the mark that we are comparing, we had 87. It will check 87. Is 87 greater or equal to? You've seen this symbol over before in the operators section. So you see, when it comes to programming, whatever you learn earlier on, you build on top of it. So don't forget what we've talked so far. This is just a variable assignment. That was our first our lesson on Friday. So it checks this statement. If it's true, it echoes this one. So let me run it. So no. As Stella said, the result is going to be A. Now let me change it to 61. What will be the result? Hello?
That's what should be B.
Okay, let's run it and see. You see, so for example, you see, we are 61. So it checks, is 61 greater?
Yes. Okay, yes.
Yes. So it's going to check, is 61 greater or equal to 80? No. Is 61 greater or equal to 70? No. Is 61 greater or equal to 60? Yes. So this bit of code will run. So this is how, because as you can see, you have this code over here, have another one over here, but it skipped all these ones and ran this block. So that is how you change how your code runs. So that is the if else if. Now the next one is nested if. So nested if is just like what we've looked at, but in that case you have an if containing another if. Is that okay? So you have an if statement containing another if. There could be another if statement over here also. So this is just like the first one. Now what it does is it checks, is this statement true? If it is true, then it will enter this block of code. Now it comes here and meets another if statement. It will check, is it true? Then you execute this particular code. Now after executing this one, it will ignore the else because the first condition was met. Now let's try and run that one. Our pass mark is 89, and our mark is 89, and the pass mark is 80. Now we can look at the code that we have and tell me what the result will be. Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
The result should be good developer.
You said?
Good developer.
Developer. Okay, that is fine. So that one will give you 70 out of 100. Another person. What will be the result of this? Okay, so
But I think it will first display concentrations will pass.
Yes.
Then to show good developer.
Yes, that's perfect. So first of all, because the mark is 89, it will enter this block of code, then show us this message over here, then check. Now look at the course is coding. So if course is equal to coding, now you remember the operators, if you see two equal sign, it means compare them whether they are equal. It's different from assigning. If assigning a variable is just one, please take note. So to check, is the course variable, is it containing a data that is coding? If it's true, then show this. So that is what happens. Now let me run it and let's see what happens. As you can see, as Stella said, we have our first message, congratulations, you passed, then you're a good developer. Now if this is less than the pass mark, is you have to take the test again. That's this block of code, because it checked and didn't match or it didn't return true, so it will skip all this one and come and display this particular code. Now, mind you, in most programming languages, this is how you write your if statement. Please just forget about what is inside it. This is JavaScript way of doing things. In Java, you can write the same thing and it will run. You can write the same thing in PHP, it will run. So what we are trying to do over here is just to give you an overview of how programming languages are. Then I think after this month you branch into the part that you're interested in. Now let me switch to the slide. We come back here after we learn a few things.
Okay, if you don't understand it, I think you can still ask your questions before he moves on to the next.
Yes, it's very important that you understand, because as you can see, what we learned last week, variables, we are implementing them here. So you have to understand this before we go to the next session. So you look at if else, then you have looked at if else if statement, then you looked at nested if statement. So this is just the syntax. So you have a bigger if, then containing other if. So you can have a lot of if inside. Now the next statement that we are going to look at, decision making statement, is the switch statement. Now this is also true for most of programming languages. A lot of programming languages have the switch statement. The switch statement are similar to the if else statement. The switch statement contains multiple block of code called cases, and a single case is executed based on the variable which is being switched. So what this one is, first of all, you have the keyword switch, then the case, a variable that we are going to check. Sorry, let me use the pen. This is the keyword is switch. So if you write switch, the compiler understands that you're going to switch between a block of code. Then a variable that you're going to check with. Now you can have a lot of cases. So if you want to show a block of code as we did in if statement, just do a case, then the constant that you want to check with. If that constant is true, it will enter this block of code and run it. If it's not, it checks. So what the difference between the if statement and the check statement is, with switch, it just goes to that case that matches it. So let's say I'll switch to the code, then you understand. It will look at the case. If it matches it, it executes it. Now there's a special keyword break, as you can see over here. Now what break does is it means that's the end of the block. Please exit from the code. So it will run from the top to bottom. As soon as it sees break, it will ignore the rest of the code and move on. So in this case, let's say if the first case was what matched the variable that you are switching, this one will be executed. As soon as you see the block, it will exit the code and go and run the next operation. It won't continue. Okay. Now, if you don't bring the break, what will happen is it will finish running it, then go to the next case and run it, and run until it meets a break statement. Now, the last keyword that you can see is the default. Now, the default, as you can see, doesn't have any case. It doesn't have any variable. Look at this one. It has a value that we are comparing with, but the default doesn't. So what that means is just like the else block. If none of these cases are matched, then the default will run. So that is the switch statement. Let me switch to the code so that you understand what is going on. Okay, Okay, so this is a simple switch statement. What it does is you have a variable that you are checking against, and you have constant that you are going to check. If that variable is equal to that particular constant, then it will run the block of code that is inside it. Then if it sees a break statement, it will exit. If not, it will run the next case until you see a break, then it stops. Now, if it doesn't find any, the variable that you have switching doesn't match any of the cases, then the default statement will run. Now, the variable that you are switching is city. Now, city is assigned Abidjan. It will go to look at it. Okay, this case has Abidjan, then it will run this block of code. Now let me do an example so that you run this code so that you understand what I mean. As you can see, because the city is Abidjan, it ran this particular block, and we have Ivory Coast on our console. Now, if I change it to anything, any suggestion? Someone should give me a suggestion. Hello.
Lagos.
Yes. Is that what?
Lagos.
Huh?
I said Lagos.
Okay, Lagos. Okay. Now, if I run Lagos, what will happen if I run Lagos?
To show you the default.
Yeah, very good. That's very good. So because there's no Lagos here, it will show us the default. So let me run that one. As you can see, God bless our homeland, Ghana. Now, if I change this one to Abuja, this block of code should run. So you have Nigeria. So this is how switch statement works. You have cases, it checks the case. If it matches, then it executes that block. Now, if I remove this particular break over here, what do you think will happen?
It won't break. I don't know.
Yes. So what will you have on our console?
We have Nigeria. I think we'll move to Ivory Coast before it will break.
Yes. So the city that we are switching is Abuja. So it comes, okay, there's Abuja here, and it runs it. Because there's no break statement, it will come into this case and run this one also. Then finally miss a break, then it will just exit from the switch statement and continue from here executing. Now let me run it. As you can see, it runs this one first. Because there's no break statement, it comes to this bit and shows us.
Well, let me ask a question, please.
Okay.
Now it didn't break. The city is not Abidjan now. Why do you console lock Ivory Coast?
You see, the city is Abuja, so this one should run. That's perfect. But because there's no keyword, the keyword break, I've taken it off. So what I've done is comment. If you, I think, oops. So if you bring two / in front of your code, is what you call comment. What it means is the compiler won't run that one. So it's the same as not having it over there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one will run, but because there's no break statement, it will come to this block and execute it. That's why you have
okay.
Nigeria.
Without comparing the city, Abidjan.
No. It won't compare. It will just
okay.
It will behave as if this block of code is here.
All right.
It will ignore it. So if this one If this break statement is not there, it won't compare Lomi. It will execute this one also.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so the break is now there. Now you should only have Nigeria. Okay, so let's move to our slide. I think time is moving faster, so I'm going to speed up a bit. Okay, so the next on our list that is very important is loops. Very, very important. Just like if statement, if you write better code or a complex code, you encounter what we call loops. So in programming, sometimes we need to execute block of code repeatedly while some other condition is true. So let's say if you want to run a particular code several times, run it whilst a particular condition is true, we use what we call loops for that. The execution of the set of instructions depends upon a particular condition. So before it runs, it checks that condition. If that condition is met, it runs your code or that block of code. Now, these are the common loops that is in most high-level programming languages. You have the for loop, have the while loop, then you have the do while loop. You have code for that one. Mostly, I think it's better you use code to understand. That's why I mostly move into the code. So the for loop, this is how the syntax looks like. It's the same for most programming languages. So it has the keyword for. Okay. Now the first part is called the initialization. So it will initialize a variable, it will assign a default variable. Then the next one is condition. So it will be checking this condition. If that condition is true, then it will run the code. After running the code, it will come and increase the variable that you initialize over here. Then this loop continues until this condition is false. Then it breaks out of this container over here. So first of all, as you can see, when the compiler hits an if a for loop, sorry, it initializes it. It gives the variable that you are going to use as a counter. It initializes it, checks the condition. If the condition is true on that particular variable, it runs the statement. If it is false, it exits from that particular loop. So let's go to our code to understand how if statements are. Okay, so there should be for loop. Okay, this is it. So this is an example of a simple for loop. So this loop, what it does is it just find the sum of 5. So for the numbers from 1 up to 5, it adds everything together and give us the sum. So as I said, the for loop has a keyword for. The first bit, this part before the semicolon, is what we call the initiation the part. It first of all initialize the variable. Then the next bit is the condition part. It checks if the variable, the value in that variable, is it less than or equal to 5. If it is less than or equal to 5, it will execute this block of code. It will do that until this condition is false. So it checks, runs it. Then when it finishes, you remember the I++. You remember the I++, as we said, is the same as. So I said if you see anything to this particular sign is for comment. So the I++ is the same as I is equal to I plus 1. Okay, so make good use of this operator, when you are writing your code, I want to see this type of code. It means you are a senior or good developer. So the first bit is the initialization part. The next one is the condition and the increment or decrement. So it can be minus or whatever. It depends on how you want to do it. So this bit of code, first of all, I is equal to 1. You check, is 1 less or equal to 5? Yes, 1 is less or equal to 5. It comes here. The sum plus or equal to 1 is the same as sum is equal to sum plus I. The I, mind you, is 1. So for our sum is 0. Initially, the sum is 0. So 0 plus 1, the first one, is going to be 1. That variable is inside the computer memory. It come and then increase this value to plus. So it increases it to 2. So here the I becomes 2. 2 is 2 less or equal to 5. Yes, it's true. Then it comes here. Now don't forget that our sum is 1. So now it asks 1 plus 2. Then after this code, it comes and increases it to 3, checks it, runs it, increases it to 4, runs, checks, is 5, runs again, and increases it to 6. It checks, is 6 less or equal to 5? No. So in this case, it exits this group and come and show you this particular console or this particular output over here. So you let me run it, then you see what happens. Oh, sorry. So that should be. So as you can see, the sum of the first 5 natural numbers is 15. If you add 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 together, you are going to get 15. So as I said, the first one, the initial value is 1. The sum is 0. So 0 plus 1, you have 1. When it runs for the first time, you have 1. Then it increases I to 2. Check, is 2 less or equal to 5? Yes. Then don't forget our sum is equal to 1, and as you add 2 to it, becoming 3. Then it increases I to 2 or 3 to 3. Checks is 3 less than. It does it until the condition is false. Then it exits from the group. Is that okay? Now, if I change this one to 10, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to run 10 times. This particular block of code is going to run 10 times before it comes out and output it. So let me change it to 10. If you add all the numbers from 1 up to 10, the sum is going to be 55. And you see, that's the power of computer. Look at the seconds. It just took like 1 second to do this sum for you. So this is just a simple for loop. The next one, no, I know this is a bit messy. If anyone has a question, you can ask before I move to the while loop. Hello, have I confused you? Oh, it's fine.
Which programming language are you using right now?
This is JavaScript.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, this is JavaScript. And as I said, in other programming language, Java is just going to be the same thing. But Java doesn't use let, so I don't want to go into the variable declaration or whatever. But it's just going to be the same thing. You're going to have an if statement, an initialization part, the part that checks your condition, then the increment. There are some programming languages that are smart enough, they will do the last bit for you, so you don't need to add those things. But basically, this is how an if a for loop looks like. Okay, let's go to the next bit.
Someone's hand is up.
Hey, please, so whose hand is up? Can you help? Whose hand is up?
It's Amankwa.
Yeah, Amankus. You can answer the question.
Mine is I just want to know how many of us are confused here.
Yes, it's very important that you understand this. If you have a lot of big programmers on, they will just make it easier from other perspective.
Are we all cool?
Yeah, I think I understand it.
Okay, so the next one is the while loop. Now, the while loop is used to iterate over the number of statements multiple times. So in this case, what it does is it checks the statement. If the statement is true, then it runs this particular statement. It will check if it's true, it runs it. It will do it until this condition is false. So just as the for loop, it has a keyword called while, then there's a condition, then the block of code will run. Now, if this condition is false, this bit is not going to run. That's a while loop. So let me run it. So it starts. The first one, I is equal to 0. Is 0 less or equal to 10? Yes. So it show it output the result. That's 0. That's it. Then increase it by 2. I plus equal to 2 is the same as I is equal to I plus 2. Now it checks. Now don't forget our I was 0. Now you've increased it to 2. So is 2 less or equal to 10? Yes. It will come and show us what 2. Then increase 2 by 2. So now the I will be 4. Check. Is 4 less than 10? Yes. It shows us. It does it until it gets to 10. Then increase 10 by 2, so it's 12. Is 12 less or equal to 10? No. Then it will exit from this group, this block, and it won't run this one and continue running the other code that is beneath. So this is an example of listing the first 10 even numbers. So you see, because you're adding 2 to it, it's just list even numbers over here. So this is how while loop does. That one, it checks the condition before it executes the code. Please, are you okay? Are we all okay with the while loop?
I think someone is up again. Let me check.
Amankus, you can ask a question.
Okay, cool. So mine is with the I plus equal to 2. I just wanted you to simplify that.
Okay, so as the comment indicates, the I plus equal to 2 is the same as I is equal to I plus 2. It will do the same thing. Let me clear. Okay, let me leave that one also. So just the, as you can see,
and what's the
get
meaning
the same
of
result. Is that?
And what's the meaning of that?
Which one?
I equals to I plus 2.
So this is just an assignment statement. What it does is it increases the value of I to whatever arbitrary sum that we are adding to this particular variable that we are checking over here. So in this case, if you don't do that, what is going to happen is we are going to go into infinite loop. This will run forever if we don't increase the I over here, and the I keeps on being 0. It's going to check I is equal to 0, then shows it. So it will run and run and run without stopping because this condition is going to be true. That's what we call infinite loop. Amangus, I don't know whether that answers your question.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
Andrew and Andy, if you have any contribution before I move on to the brother of while loop, do while.
Okay, my addition to this particular statement is that if you don't really understand it, you have to understand it. Else, when you are writing your code, it can crash or cause like serious issues in your code if you don't really understand how this loop works. So as my boss Amos said, if you don't add a condition that limits it, it will run till the kingdom come, and sometimes you can't even stop it. So yeah, that's all I had to add. I was asking what programming language, at the beginning of our lessons, we were telling them every variable has a data type, either int, string, boolean, or this. But so far, throughout the whole session, I see let I equals 0. Let. So I just wanted to ask that question. Maybe to explain why
Oh, okay.
your
Okay.
data type is a let. Yeah.
Okay. So this is JavaScript. Now JavaScript is not typed. What that means is it doesn't care whatever you put inside the variable. It's going to know that when it's running. So if I do let I is equal to 0, now this is 0, this is number. So when I'm running the code, JavaScript is going to check, okay, 0 is a number. So I don't need to tell JavaScript that, okay, 0 is a number. This is plain JavaScript. You have TypeScript where you have to specify the type. So in this case, this will be it. So you tell the compiler that, okay, this is going to be a string. Don't take it as a number. Take it as a string. Or you can tell JavaScript that it's a number. This is JavaScript specific. I don't want to get into that. Other programming languages have other ways of doing it. JavaScript doesn't care the data type, although along the way it knows that, okay, you assign 0 to it, so basically 0 is equal to 0 is a number, so it tries to go with that flow. That is how JavaScript works. It doesn't care about data type or whatever. As a developer, you don't need to worry yourself about that. The compiler will take care of that one for you. Okay, so that is that for while loop. The brother of while loop is what we call do while. Okay, this one. Now do while is a bit different from while loop. In that case, the condition is run at least one before it comes and check the condition. Unlike the while loop, where we check the condition before you run the code, while do while, we don't check the condition first. You run the code before you come and check the condition. So if you have a block of code where you want at least to run it before you check a particular condition, you use what we call do while. So you do before you check. So in this case, run this code and check the statement. If the statement is true, then come and run it again. Do it until the statement is false. But in whatever case, it will run it before it will come and check the statement. So it's the same as what we did initially. This one should give us the same output as we did initially, but this is going to run at least one. So for example, let's say I is equals to 12. Okay, in this case, what happens is this condition is false because 12 is greater than 10. So this is going to run at least once before it come and check, okay, the condition is false, then it will forget about it. So now look at what happened. If I run it, we only have only one number on our console. That's 12 because it just take the first one, runs it, and come and check it. Because the condition is false, it forgot about it, and then check again. So this is how the do while loop works. Now, unlike the while loop, if it is 12, if I make this 12, what happens is you don't have anything on our console. So it runs this one, check the condition is false, so nothing here runs. So that is the difference between while loop and do while. So for do while, it will run the code first before coming to check the condition. So that is that with the loops. So we've talked about while loop, the do while, and the for loops. Now we are going to look at jump statement. Now let's go to the slide. Before I move on, I hope you are okay with the do while. Okay, so let me go to the slide. Finish in the next 5 minutes so that if you have any question, you can ask. So as I said earlier on, I'll share the examples that we are doing here on the WhatsApp page so that you can just copy it. I'll show you how to run it on your own. Don't need to install anything. You can just run it and see and play around the code. Then just have a feel how it works. So we are going to look at what we call jump statements. Jump statements are used to transfer the control of the program to a specific statement. So actually, mostly it's used with the loops and switch. So if you are running a particular block of code and you want to exit it, even though the condition is not met, you can use the jump statement for that. So jump statement transfer the execution control to other parts of the program. So the types of jump statement that we have is the break and the continue. The break statement we have already seen with switch statement. So this example of a break statement. Now, let me go to the code so just like I have a simple if statement over here, a for loop over here that we've looked at before. Then I have a condition, an if statement inside the for loop. Now, if that condition is met, it breaks the loop and continue, even though the condition is not met. It will just forget about, if there's code behind, it won't run. It will just skip it and go to the next block of code. Let's go to our code and see how that one looks in code. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to comment this one out. As I said earlier on, if you see something like this, /2// most programming language, that's what we call comment. So what it means is it tells the compiler that behave as if this code is not there. So it will just ignore it and continue. So let me run it and see if you don't have the break statement, what we have. So as you can see, it lists from 1 up to 10. Now, if I bring a break statement, as soon as it gets to 6, it breaks out of the loop. It will forget it. Even though the condition is not met, it will just exit from the group and continue executing from the other block. So that is break. If you are in a loop that, let's say, okay, I think I'm fine, I just want to move on, you can just use a break statement to exit from that particular block. So it can happen, you are doing calculations and you've gotten what you want, you can just put a condition there, then break out of the loop. So as you can see, without the loop, it listed all the numbers from 1 up to 10. But as soon as you brought an if statement to check if the I is equal to 6 and then break out of the loop, it just exits from the loop as soon as we got to 6. Now, the next bit is what we call continue. Now, the continue means that as soon as this condition is met, forget about whatever is down, go to the next iteration. Let me run the code so that you understand. Let me take off the break statement, the continue statement. So as you can see, it lists from 1 up to 10 without anything. All the numbers are here. Now, if I bring this continue statement, as you can see, number 6 is missing. So from 5, we jumped to 7. So as soon as this condition is met, it's not going to run this statement, anything down, it's going to forget it and go to the next bit of iteration. So that is control flows, control. It checks, it ignore every statement that is within that particular iteration, then goes to the next iteration to execute the code or that block of code. So break, exit from the loop totally and go to the next one. Continue will ignore the whatever. As soon as that condition is met, it ignores whatever is down and goes to the next line. I'm going to stop here. Then I think the rest will be questions and answers, and so that we all be on the same loop. So as this person said, code is just like humor. When you try to explain it, it becomes like it's not funny anymore. Me, if you tell a joke and try to explain the joke, I won't even laugh. It's the same with programming language. When you are trying to explain it, it's a bit weird. Forgive me if it's not that clear. From now to I think the next 8 minutes that we have, if you have any question, you can ask, and we have people on the call to help resolve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You can take over.
Um,
If anyone has question, you can ask.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
For the shy ones, you can type your your questions. I'm ready to read them for the hearing of the whole class. And if you're not shy, you can just come out, ask your question, and we expect your feedback, because your feedback allows us to know whether you are getting what is being taught. And if we are doing something wrong, we will also look at ourselves, how we are doing it, and then we'll correct it. So your feedback is important for us. On this note, I'm going to just be silent and wait for your feedback, either by comment or by yourself saying it. So if there's anyone. Also, the floor is open, the tutors online. If there's any anything that was said that you want to highlight on, you can come up and then highlight on them too as well. We have some few minutes to close.
Okay, can I chip in something?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So my contribution is on the loops. So as Amos rightly said, in programming, normally you have a set of data. You probably like to do some kind of computation on that particular data. And that data may be long, and it can't be taking them one after the other to do the computations. So what you normally do, you have to write just a simple program or simple instructions to the computer that, okay, fine, I want you to perform this particular calculation on this set of data. There are like, let's say, thousands of them. And you just have to sit at somewhere and the computer will just do all the calculations for you and it will just give you the output. So that's how come we have these loops. So normally you have to write that set of instructions to be able to do all those particular calculations for you. So we have different ways of going about these loops. So we've got a for loop, as he said, we've got a while loop, and we've also got a do while loop. And all these particular instructions or loop instructions, they all have ways of executing the program. So when you look at the for loop, for instance, the for loop will start executing the program or the instruction, while to first of all check a condition before it even executes the program. So as the do also. So when you look, let's go to the for loop. Let's go to the for loop. Can you show us the for loop? Yes, exactly. So for the for loop, it has got the, if you want to write a for loop to be able to do some kind of calculations on a particular set of data, you have to start with the keyword for and open this kind of parenthesis. And you need to start with a condition. Let's say I want the program to start from, let's say, position or the data which is at the index 1 or index 0. So for this, he said let I equals to 1. You know, in commas, you can say x is equal to 10, which means the value of x is now 10. So when we take I, for instance, we are saying let I equals to 1. So I can be any data, but we are saying that I should be 1 right now. And now the next one is you want the program to start from 1 and it should run to a particular value. Let's say it should run to, let's say, 1,000. When it gets to 1,000, you stop. So that's, you are running the loop between 1 and 1,000, or you are running the loop between 1 and 100. So you start saying I equals to 1. So that's where the loop will start from. And now the next thing is I is less than or equal to 10, which means when I is less than or equal to 10, the program should be able to run from 1 up to this particular value that we set, which is 10. It can be 100, it can be 1,000, depending on the number of data that we have. Now, when I is done with the first, let's say, calculation, it should be able to move on to the next one. But then, before I can move on to the next one, we need to make sure that I moves from 1 to 2. So we say that I plus plus, which means it's the same thing as I equals to I plus 1. So in this case, we've given the computer that the computer should start from I equals to 1. That is when we have, let's say, 100 of data. We should start from the first one, which is, let's say, if the data there is, let's say, 2, it should start from that particular place. And the program should run up to 10, or let's say up to 100. But then after every execution, the I should be incremented by 1 so that it can move on to the next data. So that's how come we've got this for let I equals to 1, I less than or equal to 10, and also I plus plus. So that's how we write the instruction to the program that, okay, it should start from somewhere and it should end somewhere. But then when it's done executing the first one, it should add, let's say, +1, or it should add +2 to the let's say the cursor or the counter, so that it can move on to the next particular data to also do the calculations on it. I don't know if I'm making sense over here.
Yeah, a lot of sense.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amankwa. We just have 1 minute left. So on that note, we thank you all for coming on time. Today's attendance was really impressive compared to last week's attendance. And we are online, we are on the WhatsApp pages and everything. If you revisit again and you have any question, you can buzz any of us and then we'll sort you out. So On this note, we end the meeting. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
And-
Thank you very much.
Andy,
Thank you
before you
very
end,
much. God bless you.
can you prepare a small assignment and just put it on the WhatsApp page?
Sure.
Based on what we've talked.
I also
Yes,
share
I'll
the
get.
I'll also share the examples so that you can try them. I'll show you how to run it on your browsers also.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. Have a good evening.
Good evening.